Need you to do a mic check for me. Mic check, mic check. What's going on, guys?
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everyone of all ages, whether it's day or night, welcome. My name is David Worrell. I am here for you. What do we got today? Well, as the title says, we are going to be going over a brief description of what happened in the overall market today, and then I have a special guest that I want to do a short interview on, and I think it's going to be a good time today. So we will bring her out very, very soon. Yes, I said her. Don't give it away, chat. Don't give it away. What's going on, guys? Good morning, good afternoon, all that good funky stuff. I see Jimmy Bright, I see Jolene, B. Stewie, and the greatest moderator alive, Dan Bob Dan. Guys, we have an awesome show for you today, and I am pumped to go over it. I was out today. I was out and about. I was getting in the dirt and the grime, having myself a merry old time, and now I finally get to sit back, relax, and enjoy the show with you. So the first thing that we need to do is go over the market brief. It's going to be very quick today because it was a little bit more of a relaxed day in the overall market. As I suspected, as I said before, I wanted it to trade sideways. And right now, currently, that is what we are getting. With NVIDIA's earnings coming up very, very soon, I see that being really the biggest time, the biggest area that's going to show us whether or not we're going to get some huge volatility. I feel like if NVIDIA starts to move, if it starts to shimmy, if it starts to shake, you better watch your pants because the volatility would come screaming in here. What's going on, Norman? What's up, Yosef? It's good to see you guys. Dan Bob Dan already has posted our beautiful Linktree link in the comment section below. If you are new to this channel, click on that Linktree. We have it all, baby. But while you are here, vote on the poll, hit that like and subscribe because we are doing this, baby. We are doing it well. This is probably the only stock market show that you will find a whole family with a heart of gold and an open mind. And if you want to be a part of that, join the free Discord. We're doing it, baby, and we're doing it good. First and foremost, the S&P 500 trading sideways just as yours truly wished for, and sure enough, we have been. We broke through all of these areas of resistance. We did this V-shaped bottom, headed up higher, and instead of rubber banding back down, we're trading sideways, letting these moving averages catch up, and we are doing it on lower volume soon. We're not seeing a lot of selling volume. I would love to see it trade sideways. I'd love to see a base formed here with a lot of volume to come in to break through this all-time high of 560, 516. If we can do that, yeet skeetily do, we're off to the races, baby. The VIX Volatility Fear Index is still sitting around 1550. That's A-OK. NASDAQ had a little bit of a pullback. Not today. It popped up a little bit today, but it's pulling back compared to the S&P 500. Clearly, the S&P 500 is our leader ETF here. So here's the S&P 500, clearly close to all-time highs, as to where the NASDAQ is really a long ways to go. The QQQ, same thing, looking a lot like the NASDAQ 100, but your Dow Jones Industrial, look at this. Yesterday, it reached a new all-time high, and today it's trading sideways, trying to allow those moving averages to catch up. And then, this is the one that I am waiting for. This is the one that I want to see rip, tater, chippin', and that is the IWM. The IWM actually had a pullback today. This is the first time I'm seeing this with you guys, so I'm a little apprehensive to see this, but I will say this. After a big push up like this, we still have plenty of room for the 10 and 21-day moving averages to catch up. You can't complain on a pullback. It didn't give all of its gains back here, so a big pop, a little push up here. It's, I would say it's in second place compared to the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ. I would say the S&P 500 is our first place, our first biggest earner. It's doing well. It showcases a lot of the U.S. stocks, or all the U.S. stocks, 500 stocks there, as the Russell 2000 has 2,000 of your small cap stocks, and it is in second place in my humble opinion. Of course, I took a look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin here is looking like it's still stuck in that downward channel. It cannot get back up here to that 68,000. So it looks like we're still waiting to see. Below a 200-day moving average currently right now in the Bitcoin, so that's not very good. Next up is the Mag 7. We have NVIDIA looking just like the S&P 500. You got some arguable differences, but the NVIDIA, if you look at the stock let me take a sip. Yeah, baby. Got to wet this whistle. The Apple, NVIDIA, Microsoft, Google. This is why we look at the Mag 7, folks, because this is what's moving the market, okay? And NVIDIA being one of the biggest mega stocks in here, and it's trading sideways. That's why it looks a lot like the S&P 500, is because NVIDIA is the S&P 500. Next up is Google. You can see Google is not doing so well. Below its 50-day moving average, that's not a good sign. As to where Meta is doing well, still trying to hold that 21-day moving average. Now, I told you guys about this 543 area. I want to be a part of it. I will be using METU, I believe it is, which is the 2X Bull ETF of Meta. And correct me, Chad, if I'm wrong on that. I believe it's METU. But that is going to move more like 6%. I'm waiting. This thing, the longer it creates this base, the bigger the breakout's going to be. So I don't care that it pulled back. Matter of fact, I kind of wish I would have, taken a short trade here, actually, because it was sitting right there and held on to it as it pulls back to maybe the 50-day moving average. I don't know. We'll see, but we will see very, very soon. I'd love to see that breakout, that 540, that 543 breakout. That's going to be a beautiful thing when it actually happens. If it does it on volume, I will be there with plenty to put on it. I'm probably going to put roughly, I'll probably put the account on it. I'll probably put 60K on that and just ride that baby until it breaks a 10-day moving average, and we'll see what happens. You know, I might lose a couple of grand. I might make 20, 30 grand, but we'll see what happens on Meta. But hold me to it, chat, because that's exactly what I'm going to do. We got AAPL. If you don't spell Apple with 2 A's, then you're not even a trader, are you, dog? We got this riding the 10-day moving average currently after a V-shaped bottom. Of course, this looks a lot like the S&P 500 because, again, it is the S&P 500. Next up is going to be Tesla. Tesla heading down, heading lower, still on a trend to the sell side, and it is sad. Uncle Tesla, you drunk idiot. Get off the booze and start ripping. We don't know what's going on with Musk. We don't know what's going on with the electric vehicles, but the sure sign is that he's not selling nearly as much as they were. So AMZN also riding a 200-day moving average, still not looking as well, but We'll see in the near future if it wants to shape up. Last but not least, the softest one, the softest one, Microsoft. Old Billy Gates is just chilling, riding the 200-day moving average as well with Amazon. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to hit this.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome to the main event.
Oh, yeah. If you didn't know, you're about to learn real quick.
Let's get ready to rumble.
Let's get ready to rumble, baby. Because now, after the stock market brief, it's time to bring out yours truly, the one, the only. Y'all ready for this? Jolene Martina. What's going on, Jolene? How are you?
Hi. I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Listen, I don't know if you could hear the "Let's Get Ready to Rumble" in the background, but that's what was playing for your introductory. I thought it would be a good one. So you are here. And you know what we're doing today? If you didn't know, I'm going to let you know right now. We're going to do an interview with you because I think it's very, very nice, and I think it'll be very attractive to other newer traders to do an interview on you, because I think it would be even more fun to do an interview in 2 or 3 months or 2 or 3 years time, and we'll see how much you've progressed. So we got a list of questions here, and I'm going to be fully transparent. Dan, the greatest moderator alive, has put these questions together, okay? We're not going to go, we're not going to go one after another or anything like that. But he gave us a bit of a script, and that's why he is the greatest moderator alive, because he gave us a bit of a script so that way we were well prepared. So I do appreciate you, Dan Baum, of course. Of course, I appreciate you, Dan Bob Dan. But before we get started, do me a favor, guys. Take a little peeky gander at my screen here. You know what I want you to do. What are we waiting for? First of all, how do you feel about the current market conditions today? That's the question. We got 10 votes on the poll and 10 of you watching, so it looks like I can't complain too much. 80% say this is great. Risk on, bull run. 10% say fear, risk off, bearish. 10% say they're just here for the interview. You're just here for the sweetest, the Joleniest of Martinas. Oh, wait, did I say that wrong? Martina. Yeah, I said it right? All right, cool. Let's keep.
You got it. It's good.
the Jolene Martinez. All right, let's do this. Well, first and foremost, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you being here. Appreciate you doing this because it makes it a little bit more fun. It's a little breakaway from just staring at the screens, going over the charts, going over the stock watch list. It makes it a little bit more of an incentive, I guess, for me to get up every morning, because this is what I'm here for. I'm here to help. And we just went over this. Dan Bob was just asking, like, what's the bigger picture of this channel? And it is to bring in newer traders. It is to bring in people like Jolene so we can learn from each other. And as she's coming up and asking questions, it sharpens steel. What she learns, what she asks, makes me understand it better by teaching it. And we can all become better traders. So Jolene, the very first question that's on here is, Dan Bob wants to know how awesome he is. That's what he wants to know. And I think we got to tell him. The crowd is cheering right now. What do you think about old Dan Bob Dan?
The question of the day. How helpful is Dan Bob? How awesome is he? Dan Bob is quick. Dan Bob is knowledgeable. He is resourceful. He is accurate. He's kind, and he's fast as a tiger.
You know, I have one thing to say about Dan Bob Dan, the greatest moderator alive, and that is, he is the greatest moderator alive, and that is for damn sure. What is going on, Erica? Erica is in the building. What's going on? Good to see ya. The women are starting to take over again, Jolene. Watch out.
Yes, we are. We are. Just wait.
I love it. So what I want you to do.
Have a ladies' night.
We should have a ladies' night. Am I invited though? It's like all right. I'm starting ladies' night. I'll be in the other room. Like just call me if you need some more popcorn or if you want me to change the screen. Like. I'll put on a wig. That's what I'll do. I'll put on a wig. All right, let's jump into this thing, Jolene. I got a few questions for you. Now, I know a little bit about your previous background, your professional background, and I know you probably can't share too much of it, but if you will, just give us a little bit about your background before stock trading,
Okay.
before you started stock trading.
Before stock trading, I actually worked for the county of San Diego. I live here in California. And I was a protective services program manager for the Department of Child and Family Wellbeing, the Office
Mm,
of Child Safety. I was the regional manager for the South Office. So you all may know this as child welfare, better known as CPS. That's what I did.
that
So
is a tough.
I was the operational manager.
That is a tough business to be in. I'm sure there was a lot of psychology in that, a lot of understanding, being situational awareness was probably a big one. Do you agree? Am I
Um,
going down the right path here?
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of situational awareness, a lot of behavior analysis,
Mm,
a lot of risk and safety assessments is
okay.
mainly what we worked on.
Okay.
You'd be surprised. A lot of what I did was really support for the supervisors and the managers and the line workers. And one of the things that the county of San Diego did, which I think that they did best, is that we were always taught by the best of the best. We followed the leaders, not the laggers.
Okay.
San Diego
I
County
like what
is
you
a
did there.
very
I like what you
we
did there.
are we are very well known, and actually, we go and speak in conferences all over the place for cutting edge work, and it is because we follow the leaders. We follow Gallup.
Okay.
So when we're talking like leaders, we don't follow like little leaders. We follow Gallup.
Okay.
And when you're talking in the world of business, Gallup and strength-based leadership, and that's where it happens, and really building these strong strength-based teams that are very, very they're built on evidence-based practice. And when we talk about evidence based practice, it really kind of ties in to what you talk about a lot, and this is one of the reasons that your group, you're like, oh, we got to back test that. And I'm like, yeah, that's evidence based practice, baby. We got to
Absolutely.
have how many trials do we got to have?
It's so
What, like,
true.
we have to have the science behind it to see if it actually works,
Yep.
for our families, for our kids, and for our work. And really, you know, uh, a lot of it too, also, when you look at the stock market, a lot of how stocks trade is really behavioral because it's really people behind the stocks, right?
So true.
So when I look at stocks and I see them like going up and then going down, sometimes I'm like, wow, that's like today we were kind of joking, like, and not joking, right? Kava was just having a little fit, and I'm like, I think they really need to do some deep breathing. And so Stewie's like, yeah, yeah, Kava, go sit in the timeout chair a little bit. Just calm yourself down and you'll be
Oh.
okay. And
That's what
look
that
at
all was about. That's hilarious.
yeah, so that's what we were talking about in the water cooler. I'm like, do some deep breathing, Kava.
Yeah.
Like let yourself breathe some.
And it's
And
funny because they use that. They use it needs to take a breath. They'll say that to a lot of people because after a huge push like this on Kava, it needs to have room to breathe. And right now we are giving it that room to breathe. And hopefully it sets up a base or a trend breakout while it's doing its its woosahs. So
sauce, right?
Yeah.
So, that's really, that's what I did before, but a lot of it is, based on evidence-based practice and that
Yeah.
that kind of thing. So that's what I did before I retired.
Well, I appreciate you sharing a little bit about your background there. And what's great is that every background, one way or another, somehow can relate to trading. Yours maybe more than most, but I'm sure if anybody takes a look at their backgrounds, you'll find there's a lot of similarities into trading. And that's why it doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter how smart or how dumb you think that you are. The market will humble you, but it will also teach you, and there's so much to learn from it, and there's so much from your past, whether it's all you did was play video games because you're young, whether it's carpentry, whether it's working with children or working in a restaurant. You can look around, and the market is literally all around you. It literally is all around you. And
Yeah.
speaking, of the restaurant, right here's Kava. If you're working in Kava and you see the business taking off and you see more stores opening and you see, that they're looking more like, a Chipotle, that those should be firing off there. Maybe you should invest. Now, I'm not telling you to invest. I'm just kind of using this as an example, but it's great hearing about your professional background. It's definitely something that it takes a specific person to do, because I don't think I would be able to do it. It would be hard to sleep at night knowing, a lot of the poor children that are out there that you can't just fix. You can't just put them in a better home. You can't just, you really have to just go through. But I really love when you say, back testing, just not just doing something because you think it's right, making sure it's something that it's right to do. And that's why I always say at 100 trades minimum, 100 trades minimum on a specific process, because by the time you're done with that 100 trades, not only is your process a lot more meticulous, but you have a better idea of whether the trades work or not. And if they do, then it's time to start stepping on the gas pedal. The next question I have for you,
Right.
Jolene, would be what inspired you? What really gave you that motivation, oh, you know what? There's something to this stock market. What made you really even join the Discord that you're in right now, or really start looking up videos on YouTube? What really attracted you to the stock market?
Well, some time ago, when you work for the government, you don't get a 401k, you get a
Sure.
457k.
Okay.
And so I had started my 457k and I just put like a little bit of money in there. And then somebody told me, like, oh, as you get raises, put more in there. And then, then I started
Smart
following
person.
my other Dave Ramsey,
Hey.
and and my other Dave Ramsey had me putting more money into my 457. And so that was interesting. But then as I was getting ready to retire, a bunch of us, you're going to die when I tell you this. A bunch of us decided it was a great idea to join Robinhood, and we would pick a stock every payday to put some money on.
Okay.
Um, we were not good pickers.
Oh no. What year was this?
Sometimes we picked well, and sometimes we didn't pick well. Some of us did homework, and some of us did not.
Okay.
The ones that did not were kicked out of the group very quickly. Um, but
That
no,
hang
no,
on, that is
you will
hilarious,
not,
Jolene. You picked the wrong
you will
stock. You're
not
out of
pick
the.
stocks anymore for us. Like you could come and listen, but no picking stocks for us.
Oh my
But
gosh.
so some of them were making some money, and so I just started kind of playing around with it. But then when I saw like the Robin Hood group, right?
Yeah.
And then when I was hearing those words that were so familiar to me, like following the leaders, not the
Yeah.
laggers. Like
Yeah.
that's huge with me.
It really
My
is.
whole career has been made on looking at who does it the best and seeing what they're doing, because that's what I always wanted for my kids and my families that I worked with. I
Yeah.
always wanted the best for them, right? And
Absolutely.
then also like the back testing and having a strategy and having rules. Like I am a process person. I like processes, I like rules. I'm not afraid to try. And heck, ask my supervisors that work for me. I would tell have them tell me what is working out there in the field. We will try it, but we will try a little bit of it and we're going to test it and test it and test it and we're going
Yes.
to make a process.
I like
And so
that.
we would do that, and so like your words, like they're my words.
I love that. I love that. And it all makes a lot of sense too in the market. I'm not in your line of work, but I can see how that's fitting. It's very fitting. You want to follow what works. You want to follow the leaders. You want to follow. And another saying that I use too is you want to follow the giants, right? Like you want to go where the money
Right.
is. So if you go where a respectable business, in your situation, what was the name of them? Not Compass. What was it again?
Oh,
Um,
Gallup.
Gallup, thank you. So in your situation, you're following Gallup. You're following the monsters, the big guys. The ones that have self-established, that have done all these right things and these monumental things where people want to learn from them. So you follow the leader. We always like to follow the leaders here. Why take a lagger when you could be in a leader? NVIDIA is the leader. So there is 1,000 other, well, let's just say a couple hundred other chip manufacturers that are out there. They're not going to do very good if NVIDIA doesn't do good. So why would you take a lagger? Because the second the leader starts to go down, you can exit out. But the second the leader starts to go down, your laggers are going to go down twice as fast. That's just how it works. So we always like to follow the leaders, not the laggers. Plus, it always says right there in How to Make Money in Stocks, the William O'Neill's book. So I like this. I really like this interview because it's very, very relatable. So I appreciate you touching on that as well. So that's specifically what inspired you to start trading stocks was you got the Robinhood account. And by the way, what year was that when you guys downloaded Robinhood? Just out of curiosity.
That was 2024.
2020? 2024? Oh, okay, cool. Okay,
This
so that was
year.
very recent. Okay, very cool. I just was
Uh-huh.
wondering if it was like one of the hardest times to trade stocks, like 2021, 2022. Some of the hardest times to trade stocks were in those 2 years because we were just in a bear
Oh, it
market.
might have been 2023 because
Okay,
the the one that got me was the Rivian. That
Rivian.
picker was a bad picker.
Yeah. And so that's the thing with Rivian. That's actually a lagger. And now that you understand it in the
Right.
stock market, that you understand that Tesla is the leader, that Rivian's not going to do good. And everybody out there listening, I keep hearing Mullen, Muln. That Mullen stock is a shit stock. You guys, stop trading it. Everybody's constantly saying Mullen, Mullen, Mullen. If Mullen goes up, great, but it's going to come back down. And look at this. Look at this. I mean, I just seen
Right.
everybody getting so excited about this stock. If you want to be in a stock when it comes to EVs, be in the leader, be in Tesla, okay? But don't quit messing with these penny shit stocks, guys. Come on now. Look at this. This is the worst thing ever. And I constantly see it popping up. And I constantly am telling people just if you're up money in this somehow, some way, take profit. But you zoom out in these things. This is a lagger. Rivian's a lagger. But now you know. Now you know. You know better than to touch Rivian if you're doing a long for swing trading. You might as well just take Tesla. So
Hmm.
next up, let's see. So kind of what my typical day is, where I kind of just hop on here. I look at how the overall market's doing, and then I already have a prefabbed watch list, right? You know that I have that watch list, and then I try to nitpick a couple out of that watch list, but I also look up gapper scanners. I have quite a few scanners. Can you kind of give me a typical day? I know that you do very, very well, actually, and you send me quite a bit of the pieces of news. But can you give me? I want to give you a mock scenario. Say a ticker comes up, it gets a lot of volume. What are you doing when you see that happen?
The first thing, well, I did most of my time was doing investigation. So I'm an investigator at heart. I want to find out the why behind it.
Okay.
And so I look and the first thing I do is I have my trading view. So I'll look real quickly and I'll see what is there news coming out from the little
Beautiful.
lightning bolt thing.
Okay.
That's the
Beautiful.
quickest thing. But then from that little lightning bolt, I usually will switch over and I'll pull up the stock and I'll read like the news, but I'll pull up the stock and I'll look to see like what is this stock about? What kind of stock is it? I'll look to the left and see like what is the history of the stock? Like is this on an uptrend, a downtrend? I
Very
want to get a
nice.
feel for the stock kind
Okay.
of. I'm slow processor.
I
Okay, I
really
want to
like
get a
that.
feel for this stock
Yeah.
and I want to see like what is the financial state of this stock. I want to look and see, um so I'll go down to the financials of the stock and I'll look at that. If it looks like there's some news, I'm not going to go by the news. Maybe a little bit on that little ticker thing, but I go over a lot to Edgar
Okay. Yeah.
to see like was there any kind of a filing. I feel like Edgar is a lot more of a substantial place to get news. Like if there's been a significant filing with the FDA, if there's going to be news out and it's filed with Edgar, I
Yeah.
feel like it's a little more reliable. So like I'll look at Edgar first before and then I look at a few other places as well, but I'm usually like digging for where the news is.
Okay. So when you say you go into Edgar, are you looking for any type of registries or securities, registration for securities or anything like that, where they could dilute their company, or are you looking at their financial reports? What are you specifically doing in Edgar?
A lot of times in Edgar, they have everything, even if they're going to put out well if they're buying, if they're selling, and
Okay,
whatever their latest report was, if
sure.
they're going to put out a news article, if there was those are the kinds of things I'm looking for in Edgar, just to get like what is the financial, what is like the bottom line of the company kind of.
Yeah,
And news stories, I look for the news stories. If they're gonna put out a news story, like there was one Dan Bob and I were looking at the other day, and it just seemed really fake, right?
sure,
And
sure.
they even filed it with Edgar. Like they filed that they were gonna this particular company was gonna give us a dividend of $5 a share.
Well, that seems pretty crazy.
And the stock was trading below $13 a share.
So how are they gonna afford that?
And their financials, so Dan Bob and I were looking at it and their financials, they couldn't even afford it.
Yeah, it
And
sounds
so
like
it's like,
a BS catalyst, doesn't it?
yeah, so we're like, well, this is not, it's not making sense.
Sure.
Um, the, the stock did go up, but it didn't really do much. And I don't know if they're really going to give that or not, but just trying to find. So I'll try to find the news, but what I'm really kind of looking then for is like I'm looking at the stock. I go back, I look at the stock, and I look to see like are we starting to make a trend with this gap up, or is the volume coming up? So on Trading View, you can go to the home page and you can pick different categories, and you can
Okay.
say unusual volume. So I'll go and I'll say,
Yes.
is there unusual volume? Is there unusual gapping pre-market? And I'll see, is it showing up in these different ones.
Yes.
So that's kind of, if I see one of those happening, that's kind of what I do. If I see it and I don't believe it, a lot of times I'll send it like to either you or Dan Bob or Stewie.
Sure.
Before I won't, I don't like to put it out in the chat because I don't know that it's true. And I don't want people to think like, oh, Jolene found this and it's true. And this is like, she's telling us this is something good, because it may not, I'm new. I don't know if it's good or not. And I don't know what's reliable or not yet.
Yeah. Yeah, no, so I like where you're going with that. So you touched on quite a bit here. One thing I like hearing is that you would pull it up on, you would pull it up on your technical sheet here, and you would look left. And I think that's one that I don't want anybody to skip over, guys. Like, if you're a new trader out there, that's one thing that people don't do. They'll be in here on the 5-minute trading, and they'll look in this 5-minute trading, and they'll get so honed in and so, so just locked in a 5-minute or a 1-minute or an hourly even. If you're going to look at a trading stock, the first thing you need to do is look at the daily. You need to see what it's done before, where the volume sits at over here, okay, and note it, mark it out. If it's high volume like this somewhere over here, you should mark it out what day and what time, because generally these volume, when the volume comes in, a lot of times it wants to get up to that next area of liquidity. Okay, so they'll try and push it. There are market makers out there. This isn't superstitious or anything like that. So I like that you look left. Then you touched on too, you check into Edgar. You see what they're filing. You see what they're talking about. You see what they're reporting to the SEC. And then on top of all of that, you're kind of like looking to see if it's a decent company with news. You want to see the catalyst. What's the catalyst about? So I like how you're doing your research. I like how you're diving a little bit deeper into the overall market ticker itself. You go much deeper than what a newer trader would normally do. And how long have you been seeking this out? So if you downloaded Robinhood in 2024, I imagine you've only been doing this for 2 to 6 months. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think I joined with your group about 3 months ago.
Okay, wow. So that's awesome. That's awesome. And what's really great about that is I feel like if you're new to trading and you don't know where to start, we do really have the best program to start, because we have all the the timeless sayings, like make sure you cut your losses, let your winners run, all that good stuff. But what we really have is risk management, because people think when you hear risk management, you think, oh, I know what risk management is. You just got to manage your risk. But how to manage your risk, where to set your stop losses, what a process looks like. And we entail all of that. Where as a new trader, you could literally put a couple $1,000s in an account, hit buy because it looks low and it has a potential of going higher, because you zoom out and you say, oh, this thing looks like it could go higher. Like many people do with Mullen. They go, oh, it's 30 cents. It's cheap. Look how high this thing can get. And they zoom all the way out. They go, oh, this thing could go to $200. I'm getting it for a deal here. And they don't look at the news. They don't look at the Edgar filings. They don't look at the fundamentals, financials, or the technicals of this trade. But if you just look left and you look at this thing, the highest it's going to get up to before it hits its first area of resistance is right here in this 550 area. It can't even get up to that, let alone break through its 50-day moving average. So what you're doing and everything you just said is absolutely amazing. I love to hear that you're only a few months into trading and you're already doing what great traders do. So it's very, very nice to hear that. So the next question I have for you would blah, blah, blah. Let me get a sip. So we kind of went over what are the key factors that you consider before making a trade. And I think I just reiterated those. So the next thing is how do you manage your risk during these trading strategies? And if it's anything like mine, I feel like we're gonna get a nice like this is kind of me, for you being new, you know, I want to hear how you manage risk because if it's not up to par, Jolene, I tell you, Jolene, you're gonna be in some serious
Okay.
shit here. So
So the first thing I think that I probably do is that I don't go into a trade if okay, well first I don't have that much money.
okay, I like that. That's
Let's
good.
talk about that. No, and I think one of the things that I think every new trader needs to know is that even if you're doing Robinhood, no matter what you're doing, don't ever do margin or anything like that. Like you have to be dealing with cash.
Yeah, not when you're starting out. Definitely don't use margin. You might as well use just cash.
Like you have to be just cash and also the small trade. So and I'm not ashamed. I'm actually pretty proud when I say like I took 5 shares of kava, and you guys will see like, oh, I took 10 shares of this, and I took, I'm taking very small trades. In the line of work I was in, it usually, if even if you switched a program, it took you in the same darn thing. It took you about a year and a half just to learn a different part of it. And so I'm anticipating that this is going to take me probably 3 years to learn.
Oh yeah,
So I've got to give myself like a lot of time, and so in that time, like it's okay to trade very, very small to begin with. And then don't go into trades. Like my number one rule is that if I'm going to be busy that day, or if I can't be attentive or whatever, like I just don't go into a trade.
I like that.
Like don't do it.
Now, do you set stop
So
losses though?
I do set stop losses, and my first one that you thought could be upgraded, that's the term we use, it could be upgraded.
Okay,
Um
I like that.
um w- was ASTS.
Yes.
I used the low of the day before rather than the low
Yeah,
of that day.
yeah. Previous low of day, which
And
is fine.
and so, but we talked about that, and I understand, that I have now switched to low of day.
Okay,
And then I also change once I take my profits, then I do move my stop loss up.
to break even.
So to break even. So
Okay,
I do those calculations before I go into the trade. I know
okay,
what
very
those
good.
are. So doing that homework and having it written out before I go into the trade. So really having it kind of mapped before,
Okay,
which only takes kind of a few seconds. Like you better know before you go into that trade, you better know what your stop loss is,
absolutely, absolutely.
right?
Oh, absolutely.
Don't don't even think about it until you know that number.
There's been
So
there's been a few
um,
times I've gotten into a trade. I didn't know what my stop loss was, so I would exit out immediately, because I knew it wasn't the right thing to do. So that's a really good point there. You should know before you get into a trade where your stop loss
so
is.
So knowing what it is, making sure it's a good trade to begin. I mean, I would say making sure it's a good trade to begin with. I have been asking people because I want to know like what I've been asking people is when you do your best or when you're trading the best, what are those trades look like? And I've got one answer every single time.
Can you share that with us?
5-star trades.
That's right, girl. 5-star setup. I got a list of
And
5-star setups, and those are the only ones that I really should be taking. It's just being patient,
and
right? That's the hardest thing.
Well, and that's what I hear. Like they're boring. They get boring,
Yeah,
and they take a lot of time, and you may only get 4 or 7 a year,
yeah,
and this kind of stuff I've been writing down. Like I may only come across 4 or 7 a year.
yeah.
Gosh, if I only buy 10 shares,
Right.
it's a good thing. It's a good thing I like y'all.
Yeah, I like that. I do. I like that. I'm telling you, it's so true. It's so true. Everything you're saying is so true. And a lot of traders are just out there to trade, not make money, clearly, because and I'm one. I can't. I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm the greatest thing alive. I'm not. I'm still learning every day, and my biggest motto is you're a loser unless you're learning. And every day I'm learning, and the market will bring out the best and the worst in you. And one of the worst things I found is my discipline. Now, outside of trading, I'm a very disciplined person. Very, very disciplined person, except for with my food. I need to get more disciplined with that. But aside from that, I'm a very, very disciplined person. And inside trading, it's shown my flaws where I just want to trade. I love to take a trade, but it's like a drug. And if I could just be more disciplined, I would have so much more money than I do now in trading. I really would. If I just take in my 5-star setups, I would be up a wild amount in the overall market. But instead, I must love to give back a lot of my gains just because I want to feel like a trader. And that's wrong. So what you're learning, what you've just stated is just pure fundamentals. Like that is absolutely what you should know right now. Like I'm thoroughly impressed, and I really like what you're regurgitating right now.
Well,
I
guess where I'm learning it.
I appreciate you, Jolene. I really do.
Well, I have to tell you, like that's what I like. I'll watch the trading. I'll go on. I'll watch the trading in the trading videos, and I'll watch them, and I'll watch those little Kobe and his little charts,
Yeah.
and over and over, or I'll look at the charts with William O'Neill just on
Yes.
his book. I'll look at those 5-star charts
Yes.
because you hear like you have to see like 1,000 of them, and it's like, okay, well then I better look at 100 a day.
It's so true. It's so true. I look at
Like,
probably a minimum of 100 a day too. And what you're doing, like it's just repetitive. It's repetitive, and eventually you just see these things. You're just like, oh, I have to take this trade, And you've been watching it for so long. Maybe you missed a couple of setups, and then finally it just sets up, and you're like, oh wow, I have to take this trade, So I really love it. I love it. I love everything that you're saying right now. So now I know you're not taking a lot of shares, but are you feeling any kind of really like emotion when you're trading yet?
yes, I do, and it's
Okay.
it's awful strange because the emotion that's tied to it is very real,
Okay. Good.
and it's almost the adrenaline that comes with it is almost a scary adrenaline, one that it could be concerning.
Um.
Like,
What?
it's an adrenaline, like when it
Okay.
starts to go up, you feel the adrenaline go up,
Okay.
right? And
Yes.
if you really are in tune with your body and you pay attention to your body and you're watching the stock go up, like you can feel yourself getting happy, right? And
Absolutely.
as it comes down, you start to feel anxiety.
Yeah.
And so, when you get used to really being in tune with your body and watching your body, and you watch that go up and down, your body does the same thing with that stock. And so, really, when it's going through those highs and lows, and you have your stop loss set, there is no reason to stay there and look at it. um there's a lot of times where we say there's certain things that you don't need to see, and there's certain things you don't need to hear, and there's certain things you don't need to go through. Like, that's almost one of them.
That's a really good
Like,
point.
riding that roller coaster
Yeah.
with that stock, I'm not sure is the best thing ever, because it is a roller coaster and is kind of an emotional roller coaster.
Yeah.
And you guys have probably noticed that even if I take trades, a lot of times I close my laptop and I go for a walk.
You do. You go
It's
for a
because
walk.
my stop loss is set. I'm done
Yeah,
if I've
that's
taken a
that's
trade.
you are growing so fast, Jolene. If only I was where you were at in such a short period of time when I first started. I would
Well,
be
I'm old.
that. Yeah, but I'm telling you, like you've gotten such a fast jump start to trading. If you could just stay on this path, that's amazing. So I like, first of all, I like to hear that you're taking, even though you said that you have a small account, it's still good to know that you're taking enough shares so it means something to you emotionally. Because a lot of people have issues with paper trading, which I don't. I don't have any issues with paper trading if you really can use the psychology behind it of acting like that it's real money. It's hard though. It is hard and it'll never be real money. So when you actually put real money to the test like you have, I hope that it's enough to give you these feelings because you have to learn how to deal with these emotions. And it sounds like you really have. You set your stop loss and you go for a walk. And that's such a beautiful thing. Watching every tick will make you sick to your stomach. I've done it. I've sit here and I have watched every tick. I've been here from 6:30 a.m. until roughly 5 or 6, 12 hours straight staring at one stock because I've taken way too many shares. I just didn't set my stop loss and walk away. When you staring at that damn ticker is not going to change the outcome at all. It is not going to change the outcome at all. Nobody's going to say, "Oh, he's staring at it. Let's make it go up." And I'm sure if
So
somebody did know it and they
and
could see your face, they would do it just to make you sick. But what were you going to say? Sorry.
and what I mean, and think about like taking that walk really gets your mind. One of the things that helps your body and your mind recover from emotional stress is having your brain take a break from emotional stress.
Yeah.
So if you can get your body and your mind doing something else and thinking about something else, talking to a friend, taking a walk, doing something else, then your brain gets a break too. And it's really healthy for your brain to do that breathing, just like it is a stock. And really, when I see that you're going fishing or B Stewie is going and he's taking his kid to
Yeah.
flying lessons, and stuff like that. It's like, go have fun with your family and let the stock do its thing because you know what? You can still stress when you come back. You can check on your phone and you can get some stress right there. It'll jump your adrenaline right up or it will shoot that cortisol right to the heart,
That's
whatever
right.
you need.
I love it. I love it. It's so true. Yeah. Yeah. If you want to feel some stress, you can just open up your phone and get yourself a dose of stress. No big deal. It'll be there for you. I like that. Um, okay. So you gave us plenty of information, but I want to end on this because I think it's important when you're a new trader, especially where you're at in your journey right now. I want you to kind of like look back at yourself just 3, 4 months ago and give yourself a piece of advice. What advice would you give yourself when you first started out? When you were with your group of friends, you all downloaded Robinhood. What would you do as a collective? What would you tell them? What would you tell yourself if you could go back in time just those few months? What would you tell yourself, Jolene?
Um, well, you should probably get at least with a mentor or a group that knows something about the stock market
Okay.
first. Um, because like this group has been like a mentorship to me. And if you're not there, Dan Bob's there, B Stewie's there, Predator's there,
Yeah.
Danny's been there, Swervo's been there.
Yeah.
There's so many people that are here. If I have a question or anything like that, and it really is kind of like group learning, I think, especially in the Discord in the morning, because what one person sees, another person, what I like is the authenticity. So the
Yeah.
authenticity of like, no, that's a shit stop
Yeah. Yeah.
stock,
It's so true.
it's
It's so
like
true.
no, that's not a leader, that's a lagger,
Yeah.
and so really being authentic because it is people's real money that we're working with here, right?
Absolutely.
And they really do care. So I mean, finding this group has been the best thing for me, I would say. Also the books that are recommended, like
Yes.
reading those books. The trading school, I have to go through and I have to like stop it and take my notes. I was very good with the computer and with a lot of data. So I was very data driven. I'm used to looking at three screens at one time with lots of data. And so data, but not this kind of data. So
Yeah.
like I'm with B Stewie. Him and I are on like paper and pen,
Yeah.
a lot
Yep.
of times taking notes. Like I stop the trading view school and I take a note and I'm like writing, okay, three things stop me out of a trade.
That's right.
Low of day,
Yep.
earnings,
Yep. I love it.
you know.
I love it.
So it's like so learning those things and then like we all were in the Trader Lion conference. A lot
Yeah.
of us were in that Trader Lion conference together. I have to give shout outs to Sorbo, for him being 18 and like
Yeah.
being in the conference on his 18th birthday. It was like, oh, dude, this is why you are where you are. And when you're like my age,
Yeah.
man,
Yeah.
like
He's
let
going
us know your
places.
real name so we can really vote for you for president, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's definitely gonna be a businessman. I'm really
This
happy
is
to have him in
why
here.
the kid is so smart where he is. But
Yeah.
um no, I think get somebody. We none of us knew what stocks were, or we knew what they were, but we didn't know what we were doing. So really getting in with a good group, like this is a good foundational group that teaches a process with rules,
Yes.
and they follow leaders, not laggers. They call you on your process if you go off of the process. That I think everybody really cares for one another too. It is like a family.
Absolutely. A few things I want to add to that, just so that way nobody, if you're a new trader and you're listening to this at a later time, I want you to understand that I have been a part of many, many discords. And there is not, and I'm not just saying this to sell you on this Discord, because this Discord's absolutely free. You can do whatever the hell you want. But there is not a Discord that I have found that is like the community that is growing right here, right now. You can join other places and they might seem like they know what they're doing, but you'll see a lot of them, they're boom towns. They're boom and bust. They pop up, they have a few people in them, and they disappear. This one, we've been around for 2 years now, and we're constantly growing. We're constantly doing things better. And now we have an awesome team that's being very, very supportive, especially you, Dan Bob. You really, really helped me out. Like I was at work all day today, and he really helped set things up, keeps things curated. And then you, Jolene, helping with the Facebook group. Everybody kind of as a collective coming together. It's just, I absolutely love this community, and I don't want anybody to think every Discord you join is going to be like this one. There's not a Discord out there that is like this one. We are more family oriented, we are very tight niched, and we are very welcoming. That's why I always say if you want to join
Yes.
the Discord, it's free. You just have to have two things: an open mind and a heart of gold, because that's what we all have here. And I absolutely am proud to say that we have this community that we have, and it's all because of everybody else. I forget what the other one was. Oh, so I like that you're going back in the future and you're like saying, hey, we got to learn these things. If you are looking for a Discord and it's not this Discord, she brought up a few things: process, risk management, and books. We follow the greatest leaders out there. It's very, very important, guys, that if you're going to follow somebody, you need to understand the person that you're following is studying the greats. They're studying the William O'Neills, the Dan Zaggers, the Chris Quilamagis. They're studying all these great people because if you want to be great, you study the greats. You don't play basketball without watching Michael Jordan, right? You don't, I could go on and on. You guys get the idea. Make sure that there's a process, there's risk management, they're studying the greats, and they hold each other accountable. That's what we do here. And I want everybody to know you're a loser unless you're learning. So thank you so much, Jolene. I really appreciate you being here. You really touched on some very, very strong points tonight. And I get to go to bed happy knowing that you are a part of this. You're learning like crazy and that you're going to regurgitate this to newer traders that are coming in as well. And we really appreciate you being a part of this. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have an awesome night.
Well, thank you so much for the channel. I don't even know where I would be. Probably not trading.
Probably with your girlfriends on Robinhood stock market, on Robinhood, just clicking away, just like buy.
Yeah.
So you're kicked out.
Losing money
You're kicking
instead
people
of
out left and right.
making money.
I couldn't believe that.
Losing
You're like,
money
yeah,
instead
if
of
they picked a bad
making
stock, if they picked a bad stock, you're just like, you're out. You're out of the group. Get the hell out of here. Like that? That's pretty
We're not
rough.
a picker anymore.
Could you imagine
Well,
if we did that in our group?
You
I would
have
be
a
gone.
bad picker. It's broken. Broken. Your picker is broken.
Well, all right, guys. I want to say thank you once again, Jolene. I appreciate you. I appreciate everybody that joined tonight and all the awesome the comments that are in the chat. I'm gonna see you guys on the way out. Let me hit this outro, and then I'll put up the Rip Tater Chip, and we'll say goodbye to everybody that was in the chat, even if I missed you today. So thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you, Jolene. We'll see you guys very, very soon. Peace. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining. Jolene, once again, thank you so much for joining me. Jimmy Bright, wow, Jolene, that was great. Hell yeah, we had a blast. I always have fun with Jolene on here. Bob Dan, the greatest moderator alive. My love goes to you, brother. I appreciate you setting up this interview and bringing her on. That was awesome. I had a lot of fun. B. Stewie, Yosef, thanks for joining up, brother. Beast, the beefiest of stews. Thank you so much, brother. Thank you for being here for me. Predator, thank you. Thank you so much for being here. Predator, you are the man, the myth, and the legend. Norman Conklin says, good night, everyone. Take care, Norman. It's always a pleasure to have you in here. And Moaz or Holy Diva. Sorry if that was loud. I got to practice my my higher pitch singing. Holy Diver, thanks for swinging in. Thanks for saying hello. Troy Wiseman, thank you so much for being here. Robert Tinch, thank you so much for joining up, brother. I missed it. You snuck in here, dude. You sneak in here all the time, Robert. Roberto, it's good seeing you, brother. Good to see ya. Erica, I gotta learn how to say it. Is that Kench? Kenchside? I'll just stick with Erica. I think it's Kenchside, but Erica Kenchside. Erica K, thank you so much for joining up. Thanks for swinging in here, saying hello. Thank you for being here for me. And sweet Jolene. And last but not least, we're going to end this poll, guys. We have, how do you feel about the current market? 85% of you say the conditions are great, risk on, bull. 8% say fear, risk off, bearish. And 8% of you said that you're just here for sweet Jolene. The poll has ended. The night has just begun. I hope you guys have an absolutely amazing night. And once again, thank you, sweet Jolene. You guys have a good one. Peace. Oh, man.